The gray area. The gray area. The gray area.
Hello, folks. This is Whisker Biscuit again. I'm so glad you came back to see us. Welcome once again to the Gray Area podcast. I'm sitting here with a very, very dear friend of mine. He's so special. He's so smart. One of my favorite people walking the earth right now. Goes by the name of John. Or, if you prefer, you could also call him the Reverend. And we'll explain why, just why you could call him a Reverend later on, maybe in this show, maybe in another show. Say hi to the folks, John.
How's it going, people?
Outstanding. So, yesterday was President's Day, and you'll have to forgive me because there's a very real possibility that you might not see this until closer to Easter, maybe. So, just pretend like whenever the day that you're listening to this, that it is actually President's Day, and just, do that for me, please, for fuck's sake. So anyway, John.
Yes.
I get on social media quite a bit, and I see a lot of stuff about the president, our current president. You know who that is?
Well, if I believe everything I'm told, then yes, I know who that is.
Outstanding. Okay. Could you confirm for the folks at home who that is?
I've been told that it's Barack Obama.
Okay. I've seen and heard the same thing as well. Now, you've frequented Facebook from time to time, correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm an expert or a heavy user or anything like that. But if I wanted to be complete, I know what Facebook is.
Yes. And you have used Facebook before in the past.
In the past, yes.
So, by that omission, I believe that you have probably seen some of the same memes that I have about Barack Obama being the absolute worst goddamn president we ever had. Obama's destroyed the country. Have you or have you not seen some of these same things?
I have seen sentiment that speaks to the same thing, that's for sure.
Okay.
Whether or not it was a meme, I'm not real sure, but I definitely know there's people that hate him passionately, and there's people that love him passionately. So, I guess that's why we have an approval rating.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just brush over a quick philosophy of mine. I am absolutely against the whole party system thing. I believe a lot of that stagnates progress and change within our nation. So you're not going to see me really holding up a Democratic side or Republican side. I guess I'm more in favor of good ideas, and I just don't feel like the left versus right really gets anything done.
Well, I can understand that. It's like it seems like it's what do we have on? What do we have in America? Like 600 million or something like that? I can't remember.
I think it's around 350, something like that. We have a lot of people.
350 million.
I think so.
Yeah, whatever. It's a shitload. And there's,
it's a big number.
6 billion on Earth or something like that.
Yeah.
So we can break all of those thoughts down into two categories.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
That's amazing, isn't it?
That's quite an accomplishment.
It is. So getting back to my point, I feel like people have, every time I see these memes, it kind of makes me mad, the short-mindedness of people, because, yes, he's an individual, and individuals are inherently flawed, but is he the worst president we've ever had? I don't know. Number one, because he obviously hasn't he hasn't fulfilled his entire term yet. Number two, I kind of think a lot of this is the red attacking the blue type of thing, and everything that anybody doesn't understand or maybe has a question about or doesn't really like, they take it and exacerbate it into, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. You know, we're like 6 months away from eating fucking babies now, you know. So I think there's a lot of that going on. But it kind of upsets me just the way people jump on the bandwagon without looking some of this stuff up and questioning some of it. And I'm not a history major. I'm not a poli-sci major. I'm not well versed in these things. I just have a couple notes. I spent like an hour the other day looking up some of the things that past presidents have done and try to compare Barack Obama, our current president, up against some of the presidents throughout history, how they stack up in terms of being the worst president in history.
Well, just in that act alone, I'd be willing to go so far as to say that you have done more on your part than probably 90% of other Americans, myself included. I haven't done that much. Yeah. But then again, I usually stay out of the fight. I'm very cynical.
Yeah.
So my opinion is usually the same no matter who's in office.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But, again, the whole damn purpose of this show is just to get people to think past, you know, we have a whole history of how we got to where we are right now, how a lot of the policies that the last president we had, you don't really feel the effects of it until just now. Not in all situations, but in a lot.
And I have heard tell of such, yeah.
Yes. And as far as the naivety, if I can, that's a hard word for me to say, naivety.
Yes.
The short-mindedness, how about that? The short-mindedness of people just to automatically pick a side without questioning, you know, the idea.
Yeah, not do your own damn research.
Yeah.
Just because I think that's what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
That, you know, you actually wanted to build a constructive opinion as opposed to just going with the crowd into what, you know, this side or that side says you should think.
No, what you just saw was me picking up radio signals in my head from the fucking mothership or something. I don't know what that was. I totally started thinking about puppies and shit.
No, I think that's good. That's good evidence. I need that sort of thing for things that I'm curious about.
Okay. So anyway, let's take a look back in history. Everybody's upset about the Affordable Care Act. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Fuck, I don't know. It's no idea what did we decide? And we can Google this in a minute if we want to, but let's just assume that the number in America is 350 million. You absolutely cannot make 350 million people happy all at once with your decisions.
No, and I don't know that in any political decision, if that's ever believed to be true, that you're going to make all of them happy.
Yeah.
I think the best that they can do, and this isn't a perfect scenario, is to try their damnedest to make most of them happy. And that only has to be 51%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of people get fucked.
Yeah.
And it's almost a business of fucking.
It is.
Because you know that no matter what decision you make, no matter which way you sway, 49% of them are going to hate your guts.
Yeah, this is true. But the amount of fuckery that's going around in history, this is just an hour's worth of research, because I don't know dick about presidencies and history. I find it fascinating, but like I've said in the past, I have a feeble brain, my memory's for shit, so I had to take notes, and just in the space of an hour, the amount of fuckery that's involved in presidents that we had in the past is an insult to think that Barack Obama's the worst motherfucker walking. Okay, we've all heard something about Watergate, right? The whole deal with Watergate that involved Richard Nixon.
Right.
Okay.
And Forrest Gump.
You're exactly right. So anyway, Watergate, they tied Dick Nixon, and he didn't do it himself, but it was on his behalf. It's more or less been proven that this cat had people was running for re-election, and he had these guys break into the Democratic headquarters at the Watergate building.
Right.
And he denied until the proof stacked up just insurmountably that he said, okay, ball game. All right. Again, this is in my hours worth of research. Apparently, he never came out and said, I did it. He just said, I've done some things I'm not proud of. I resign. Okay. To keep him from being impeached.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everybody's basically heard this story, more or less knows this story, but here's something that I think a lot of people haven't thought of. Now, after he resigned, your tax dollars, my tax, he just died back in, was it 96? I don't remember for sure, but I remember seeing his funeral on television.
Nixon's?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was. I'm wanting to say it was back in 96, but I might be confusing him with another president.
Is he dead now?
Yeah, he's dead now.
Okay, well, the dates aren't really important.
Okay, yeah, he's bound to smell really bad.
That's right. He's probably Bones.
Editor's note. For those of you that are interested, Richard Nixon died on April 22nd, 1994.
But anyway, we as Americans are required to pay taxes, and these taxes are used to pay a president's salary. The president receives, I don't know the exact number, but it's somewhere around, I think it's 3/4 of his salary after he's no longer the president. We're also required to pay for Secret Service protection for him, his wife, and any dependent children that he has up to an adult age. We're required to pay for an office for him. He gets certain benefits through the Postal Service. He gets so much a year, kind of a stipend to go towards his office supplies and whatnot. Like Clinton, for example, Bill Clinton, right here, right now, today, I saw the number. I think we pay $516,000 a year for his office and staff and everything. But anyway, the point I'm getting at is whenever Nixon resigned, instead of going through the impeachment process, he still got his retirement till the day he died.
Well, there's a lot of incentive to resign, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, that's smart on his part, but bounce that up against anything Barack Obama's done in his presidency.
Well, you really have to wonder, as an American taxpayer, when there's already a fist in your ass, are you going to notice another finger?
That's an excellent point. This is why I brought you here, because you're a fucking genius. That's why you're here.
I really wonder if that's not their line of thinking. Well, they're already getting screwed over. What does it matter if we screw them a little harder?
Well, yeah. But, you see, we can't just keep going for that.
It's like trying to justify a difference between good rape and bad rape.
Yeah, the lesser, yeah. But there comes a point in time where you have a fist in your ass and it's uncomfortable. At least, like, let's go for two. And, well, of course you can't just jam two, and you have to, like you said, put another finger in. Then you want to put another finger in. Then another finger in. And before you know it, your shit just falls out of you. You just walk down the road, and you have to hire an individual to walk behind you, like for the elephants in the parade, and just pick up their shit.
Right, but I can't write that off on my taxes.
This is true.
It's their fault, but my problem.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems to be the general consensus when it comes to the particular fisting of the collective American butthole.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. But at the object...
On a personal note.
Yeah.
Why hasn't something broken or torn yet?
I don't know.
It boggles my mind that as a people, we haven't at least been able to agree on the fact that they're fucking us over.
Yeah.
Why don't we all see that? Why don't we all do something about it? And let's just agree on that simple fact.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like maybe we do agree on that simple fact. But guess what? We're
We're
not doing a fucking thing about it.
Well, exactly. Well, there's too many distractions in this world.
That's true.
I mean, I think the whole red versus blue thing is part of the distraction.
Amen.
I mean, you can even break that argument down into the greedy and the greedier. I think. I don't feel like any of them are working in our interest.
No.
But we're getting off topic. I wanted to talk presidents today.
Okay.
I wanted to talk
I think we're on topic. We're talking about fucking over the American people.
Exactly.
We're still talking about presidents.
But yeah.
I agree. It's got diluted.
Yes.
My apologies.
That's all right. I'm a deluded individual. But anyway, let's take another example. Ulysses S. Grant, right?
Okay.
He
was a Confederate president, right?
No. That's Jefferson Davis. I want to say Jefferson Davis. Ulysses S. Grant was general during the Civil War. He was like the head general during the Civil War.
Oh yeah, he was on the northern side.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
I'm thinking
correct.
of somebody else.
That's all right.
My Civil War knowledge is impeccable.
Mine's for shit. But anyway, this guy was apparently a pretty good general. We elected him president, and he really kind of didn't know what to do. He kind of just let some shit happen. Kind of got his buddies in there. I didn't go real deep into Grant because his was more an ineptitude and didn't really know how to handle the office versus blatant matters that could be construed as wrong, except with the exception of the whiskey ring scandal of 1875. Now, he was never directly connected to it, but there was a large amount of federal liquor tax that just wound up in the hands of private individuals, and they traced it all the way up to this guy's cabinet. Never could connect him to it, but all the way up to members of his own cabinet were basically stealing income taxes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not saying Obama hasn't done that. I'm not saying that he's not capable of doing that. I've never met the guy. He might eat babies. I don't know these things. But as far as we know to date, that's never happened yet. He's the worst president he's the worst president that we've ever had.
Maybe he's the best at not being caught.
He could be. He could very well be.
See, these presidents that went before and got caught were examples for the next guy of what not to do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Again, I'm extremely cynical.
Well, the amount of fuckery, you have to make so many promises and be such a cutthroat individual just to even be considered to be in here. To be considered to be in the running for such a thing. That you're not even, how could you be considered to represent the masses whenever it takes millions and millions of dollars of donations just to have a commercial?
Right.
Or a series of commercials so people even know you existed.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting question. Why would you spend millions upon millions of dollars to have a job that pays $300,000 a year or something like that?
It's $400,000 a year now. It was $200,000 a year, and then it stayed there for 30 years, and then it was back. I'm wanting to say it was in 2000. They doubled it to $400,000 a year. My numbers might be slightly skewed, but I'm getting really close there.
Editor's note: he was very close. It actually started in 2001 with the presidency of George W. Bush.
On the topic of presidents, and considering that it seems like if we go back to the extreme beginning, and Grant was a great example of that, of what I'm trying to say here. But if we go back to the extreme beginning, For the most part, as a people, we can generally believe that our presidents in the beginning were more honest. They were more concerned with the welfare of this country and its people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the framework that was laid for all of the successive presidents afterwards.
Yeah,
which is the podium that they all seem to speak to, that they're going to fulfill that role. However, as time has gone forward, we know that they are getting caught, like Grant, Nixon, Clinton, Bush, whoever you just pick one, and you can find something wrong with them.
Oh yeah, nobody's perfect. It's a damn near impossible job.
But does it seem like from the beginning, from Washington to Obama, at some point does it seem like that scale has slidden, from one extreme to the other, from the extreme of, founding father of this country to just another guy that's going to screw me over somehow?
Yeah.
So it must have been a gradual slide, right?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't just happen. It wasn't a 1 or a 0. It didn't just start happening. So it must have slidden slowly to what we have now, which is garbage.
Yeah.
The whole political system is garbage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a difference. I mean, with the amount of people that we had back then. I mean, you could theoretically go around. We started out with colonies. You could theoretically go around and talk to everybody in the country within reason.
Yeah,
whenever it just started out. But now I don't agree. Some of our founding fathers, they owned slaves. It's a horrible thing. But you got to consider these guys really had to put their money where their mouth money where their mouth was at the time. They're all dead now.
Yeah.
I mean, you figure they were trying to form a nation with the enemy right there. If they failed, I mean, they were treasonous. They were hung for treason.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ball game.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a lot at stake. So the idealism really had to shine through with with what they were trying to accomplish.
Well, and maybe that was a good, thing for any politician to have in the back of his mind back then, was, if I don't do what I promised, these people are going to lynch me. And maybe that was some sort of a purifying factor that we just don't have now. You just simply can't do that.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you're caught thinking it, you yourself can be brought up on charges. So, who knows? It's kind of
And I think a lot of their stuff, it seems like I read some things that Washington was like, I don't want to, the president, I don't want to do it. Okay, all right, if you can't find anybody.
I think I'm quite sure that Washington was that way.
That's what I was talking about.
They nominated him quite a bit, and he was like, I don't think so.
Yeah. And because they wanted him to be president like the way a king's a king until he dies, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think you're right. And you talking about a king, I'm quite sure that was his problem with it.
Yeah.
Specifically. Or at least one of them.
Yeah, that's where the government of the people, for the people, or by however it's
said.
I don't remember it.
We'll have to
bunch of fucking people gotta.
My boy down there knows the preamble. He had to remember it for class. So
really?
We might have to get him up here to spit it out for us.
Yeah, back to topic. It's let's see. Who else do we got here? I got Obama's the worst president that ever existed in history, but we got cats like Andrew Johnson. Right after the Civil War happened, let's see, I believe he was Lincoln's vice president, if I'm not mistaken.
That seems right.
Yeah. And he tried to reconstruct the former Confederate States in his way, claimed that he was that this was a country for white men, and as long as he was president, it would be a government for white men. Now, again, yes, I understand this is a different day and time, but the debate was already out at this point in time. They'd already fought a war over the evils of slavery. So, I mean, the debate was out there, and people knew slavery to be a wrong and evil. And yet, we got a guy that was a default president,
Lincoln's
up
VP.
there saying these things.
Lincoln's VP.
Yeah.
Yeah. We probably need to. Are we 100% that was Lincoln's VP?
I not 100%, but I think I'm like 98% sure.
All right, you keep talking. I'm going to Google.
Okay. Let's see. I believe, what I got in my notes here? I believe he vetoed the first civil rights bill. Congress wound up having to beat out his veto. I mean, it's things like that are seem everything that I've brought up here seem way more inexcusable than the things that our current president has done and is trying to do. I will say this. Sometimes, what is that old song? You got to do something even if it's wrong.
He was not.
He was not?
Hannibal Hamlin. 15th Vice President of the United States, 61 to 65, which would be Lincoln.
He was the vice president?
He was the first vice president from the Republican Party. Hold on. I'm trying to find a source that's not fucking Wikipedia.
Which, that's something else that's interesting is...
Vice President Andrew Johnson. Under History Channel.
That's what I said, right? Andrew Johnson?
Ha-ha! So who the fuck was Hamlin?
Editor's note, as it turns out, they're right on both accounts. Hannibal Hamlin was his vice president for the first term, from 1861 to 1865, and then Andrew Johnson was his vice president for the 1865 election. That was the only year that he needed to be his vice president, as Lincoln did not make it to 1866.
I mean, people can't even really look back to the last president we had. You know, Bush and some of the stuff that he did, some of the stuff the amount of fuckery he pulled, it's just unforgivable, man. And yet Obama's the worst president we ever had.
According to the History Channel, the plot to kill Lincoln also included Vice President Andrew Johnson and Secretary of State William H. Stewart. By murdering the president and two of his possible successors. They hope to put the North.
Yeah, that's a very real thing because that was the whole thing. John Wilkes Booth was a Southern sympathizer.
Well, see, that's what I find funny was, I'm not sure if this is true from History Channel, and then what you say is true about Andrew Johnson. And it's important to note when he said that. When did he say that this is a white man's
I don't know
country?
When he said that. I know.
My point being that if the Confederate South was looking to kill Lincoln and his successors to disable the North, why would they go ahead and kill the man that sympathized with them? You see what I'm saying?
I don't know. Well, if you're already creating a conspiracy, like I can say right here, right now, I want to kill you. You need to be scared of me. But in the meantime, I really support you because you and I are on the same team. I can say what I want as long as I don't do it.
No, I see
and
your
again,
point.
we're just spitballing here.
No, I see your point. It would look better. I see your point. Shit gets thick quick.
Yes, indeed it does. Indeed it does.
All right, let me check another source.
Okay.
I'm looking for a .edu source or a .org source, preferably.
Do those exist anymore?
Yeah, now Wikipedia is a .org, but it's not the .org I'm looking for. .edu is the best source that you're going to find.
Getting back to what I was going to say. Sometimes...
Or .gov.
sometimes any action is better than no action. You know, even if it's wrong. I feel like the Affordable Health Care Act, what I know of it, I don't necessarily agree with per se, but it's good that we've actually tried something different. We're just not quagmired in the same thing. Even if it's wrong, at least history will show us one day, well, that was wrong. Maybe we won't do that again, as opposed to doing the same thing. And the same thing, and insurance rates just going up, and they're going up, and they're going up. Sometimes you got to do some wrong shit for you to know that it was even wrong. Process of elimination.
Well, yeah, learning through your mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now, I don't get it twisted. Now, don't call me a liberal, but one of the things that I align myself with is I believe in universal health care for all. If we're going to pay taxes, one of the fundamental services and the rights to a human being that I believe they should be nobody should have to worry about going to the fucking doctor. Well, I'm not talking about paying for boob jobs and shit like that. Nobody should have to worry about taking their kid to the doctor.
Yeah, and it's quite possible that's what Obama was really trying to do.
Yeah, I think.
Unfortunately, he was up against private insurers.
Mm-hmm. And billions of dollars getting thrown in opposition because he's even thinking about even attempting to move in a socialist healthcare system. Do you have any idea how many private companies and out there do not want that to happen?
Oh, well, yeah. That's money out of their pockets.
Absolutely.
Look, see, so now we've got millionaires fighting millionaires, which is it's some sort of a twisted, perverted version of he said, she said, where we all ultimately pay the penalty for it.
Absolutely.
Of course, it also, you got to consider the role of big government. And perhaps with the way that things are, you should leave this to private insurance and to private business. Personally, I believe that government should be worried pretty much about defense and infrastructure, and then other than that, fuck off. You're not necessary.
Yeah.
And in fact, you're probably going to be in the way.
Well, see, there are other, and we're going to get way off subject here, but there are other, people make the argument that if we just got minimum wage doctors out there, they work for the government, which of course they're not. What idiot would pay a qualified doctor minimum wage? That's just, I'm just talking out my ass here, but we have these low-paying doctors who, they're not progressing. They're just using the same science because they have no incentive to try new things and create new things. But I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like science, people are always going to be motivated to expand the science of healing people. I really believe that. I think that'll go on. And plus, there are models in other countries where you have standardized health care, it just for the basic shit. For some things, there might be a waiting period, but they also have a supplemental insurance policy where you still have that private thing that you can pay for as a supplementary policy that can kind of, you get a better tier of care. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. I feel like it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I feel like, and granted, I'm not the authority on this, but like I said earlier, sometimes trying something is better than doing the same shit you've been doing.
Yeah.
Because we can all agree that insurance and that whole thing is just a money pot that nobody understands but the people who are profiting from it.
Yeah, or trying and failing is probably better than not trying at all.
I agree.
Well, and I can see your point on that. And it certainly comes down to individual circumstance. My circumstance, on the other hand, is vastly different. As far as I can tell, the only thing that changed between tax seasons for last year, and I guess considering our time frame, I should be more clear for the 2013 tax year. And I've been paying taxes since I was 16 years old. So I've been paying taxes for more than half my life. I've never, ever, ever owed a fucking dime. Then the Affordable Care Act passes, and I owe $3,600. What the fuck? What the fuck? Yeah. Is that because of the Affordable Care Act? Because as far as I can tell, that's the only thing that changed. All I know is that now all of a sudden I'm paying somebody else's fucking medical bills. That's the way it feels to me. That's the way it sure fucking seems like it. And then still, when I go to the fucking dentist, he's like, oh, it's going to be $3,000 to extract this tooth. What the fuck are you talking about, $3,000? For a tooth? Well, if you want to put a bridge in it. Well, then I guess I don't want a bridge. What is it for you to just knock that fucker out of my head? Oh, that's $100. We're going to go that option. Thank you. Here's your bill. Just knock it out of my head with a fucking skate. Like what's his nuts on it?
Tom Hanks on Castaway. Yeah.
Just I don't want to feel it, man. That's all. What does it cost me just not to feel it? That's all I'm really concerned with. And $3,600. Never owed a dime. I always gotten money back. Always. And my socioeconomic status has not changed that drastically.
Yeah.
To where all of a sudden I owe this fucking money. And then, you get that on one day, and then the next day, you hear about these billion-dollar companies who, ain't paying shit in taxes. And when you put it down into percentage-wise, I'm paying more than this asshole. Yeah. What the fuck, man?
That's a whole nother show, man.
It is a whole nother show. I didn't mean to spin off on that.
No, it's
you got me pumped up, man.
I understand, and everything you're saying is valid.
My fight response kicked in, and I was just like, "Show me a tax collector. I'm gonna bite his nuts off."
Yes, I think there should be transparency and definitely smaller government in that whole tax arena of things. I believe in a flat tax and all that. What's good for me is good for that guy, is good for that guy. A lot of people talk about tax stimulating growth here and let some shit die. It's fine. Things are going to rise and fall. Let some shit live and let some shit die. I pay, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 20%. I don't know what exactly is fair, but somewhere between 10 and 20% for me, 10 and 20% for you, 10 and 20% for the Koch brothers, 10 and 20% for the 16-year-olds working at Taco Bell. That's easy.
Well, yeah, and I would much rather have a simple program so that, at the end of the year, everybody likes the refunds.
Oh, yeah.
But who doesn't like getting a large chunk of change? But the fact of the matter is that that's an interest-free loan to the government.
Exactly.
So I think that's something that a flat tax could help eliminate.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need an interest-free loan. You earn billions in taxes, trillions in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pay my fair share and then fuck off.
Exactly.
And we need to come up with what is a fair share. And so as far as that goes, I'm 100% on board with the flat tax.
Yeah.
And then for government-sponsored health care.
Mm-hmm.
There's other models that we can look at. We don't have to reinvent the fucking wheel. Mm-hmm. We don't have to do this all brand new. Now,
Canada, for God's sakes.
Well, yeah, and now, and I sure don't know anything about their tax structure or any of that.
Well, they have a higher tax structure, but essentially they have a program similar to what I was talking about earlier. You can supplement your health care policy, but basically, if you're fucking sick and dying, you can go to the emergency room.
No.
You don't have to go. Am I dying? Am I close enough to dying? I don't know. I got to pay rent this month. Let's see, death or homeless. I don't know. I can't decide. You don't have to worry about that shit up there.
Right.
From everything I understand. And education is free up there. My doctor, she was from Canada. She was educated in Canada. And then, of course, turned around and came down here for a capitalist market so she could make more.
Right. And their And there's the flip side of the coin right there. Is that with their system up there, is it really advancing science? Because there's no incentive to go out there and get it for yourself. Because I've heard that argument as well, and I have also heard problems with the Canadian healthcare system and other healthcare systems, where you do end up with these quote unquote the term that the right likes to use is death panels.
Yeah.
Which basically it means that there's somebody that's deciding whether or not you get treatment.
Yeah.
It's not you need treatment, you get it. It's there's going to be a meeting and they're going to decide whether or not you get it.
I mean,
which is obviously a whole other topic. But like you said, with education, that's where I think if Obama wanted to start incorporating these ideas, he should have started there.
Yeah. He
should have started with education, not with healthcare. Eventually get to healthcare.
Yeah.
If that's what you want. But don't start there. Start with education. Start making education free. You know.
And that's one thing I like about our state. For the folks that remember Tennessee, for the governor, I guess.
Yeah, the Hope Scholarship. No, that's the lottery thing. No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's brand new.
Yeah,
your first 2 years of school are paid for. If your grades are good, your first 2 years are done.
Yeah, the state picks it up.
I think that's great.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's the direction we need to go, so that way we can produce a whole generation or couple generations that are smarter than we are, that are farther advanced than we are, and not had to worry about the same thing, so they could focus on fixing all the shit that we fucked up.
Oh well, yeah, and there's plenty of that.
Indeed, there is. Absolutely.
I mean, if you start thinking about all the avenues and caveats and nooks and crannies of all the positives and negatives of the whole fucking thing, and I agree with Tool.
I'm with
the only way to fix it is to flush it all away.
That's right. Every time I see somebody watching the Kardashians, I just pray for the comet to come. I just want the fucking comet to come right now.
I want to watch the ground give way.
That's right. Good stuff. So to sum this thing up, I think it's pretty well safe to say, John, that Barack Obama has yet to be established as the worst president ever. We don't know that. He's not done. We don't fucking know this yet. He could be. There's still time. He could drop the fucking bomb that Pink Floyd was talking about. I don't know. Or maybe not. Or maybe people are just fucking naive and they're drinking the Kool-Aid of the fucking propaganda that inherently gets passed around whenever somebody's in office that somebody else doesn't like.
No, and on that, and something that I've been thinking about since we started this conversation was the fact that no matter which president we're talking about, depending on which side that you're on, he's either the worst or the best that we have right now.
That's right.
And that's all that can be said for sure. That's
right. Absolutely. Well, folks, we're going to wrap this thing up for today. But as always, we want to know what you think, what your thoughts and opinions are. Be sure to look us up on Facebook. That's at the Gray Area Podcast, or twatter me on Twitter. That's at the Gray Area PC, all one word. Or you can shoot us an email if you're old-fashioned. That's the Gray Area Podcast at yahoo.com. John, it's been a pleasure, as always, man.
Well, thanks for having me. I enjoy it. You know I do.
Absolutely. Folks, we're edited by Phoenix of PhoenixTV. Go check him out on YouTube. It's good stuff. But until next time, thank you so much.